Liverpool 2, Manchester United 2. That feels like a massive point for Liverpool. Man United at the end of the game were pressing Liverpool high and they had a massive opportunity. Xerxes plays the ball square across the box to Harry Maguire. If Harry Maguire scores, it's 3-2 to Manchester United and ultimately puts massive pressure on Liverpool. So on some level, Liverpool will look at a point against Manchester United, despite how bad their form has been, Man United. It's the biggest game in England, and to get away from it and not lose the game, particularly with Arsenal dropping points as well, maintaining their kind of pace alongside the likes of Arsenal, Nottingham Forest, Chelsea, even Man City. It feels like a big point for Liverpool. I think they'll look back and think, actually, we got a little bit lucky, not in a bad way, because Liverpool deserved the way they got back into the game. But ultimately, it's the biggest game in England. How many times has it disappointed? And it just felt like such an entertaining end-to-end game. And Liverpool could have easily lost the game because of the adrenaline of the moment, the heat of the moment. It felt like Xerxes should have probably laid that ball into Harry Maguire, and then that should have been a goal. Let's be completely real. So Liverpool walk away with a point and maintain the pace, get rid of another hard game as they inch closer towards May. We're going to break down all the goals, where it leaves Liverpool and Man United. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well if you're new. I'd really appreciate that. The first half was actually really exciting, really end-to-end. I thought Ugarte was playing very, very well, breaking up play. Gravenberch was running between the lines exceptionally well. Curtis Jones was operating in between these half spaces very well. A little bit quiet from maybe the front three for Liverpool. Diaz, a couple of little spells, a little bit of moments here and there. Salah had a couple of moments, whipped the ball in for a chance in the first half, but nothing came to it until really the big chance of the first half was Højlund. He gets given this ball, I think it's from Bruno Fernandes. He gets played on his left foot. And he's got a chance. He should be scoring it, in my opinion. And he's kind of lifting it into the shoulder of Alisson. I think it's really poor centre-forward play from Højlund. I don't want to be nasty. I don't want to be negative. But if you get into those positions in the biggest game in England, one of the biggest games in Europe, you have to be doing better than that. You have to be doing better than that. I'm sorry. It's a really poor finish. And Man United, could have been 1-0 up in the first half. They had the better chances. Another one, Dalot whips it into Amad Diallo. The ball from Dalot is behind Amad Diallo, but it really set up a bit of a pattern, a bit of a rhythm throughout the game that you can get down the right hand side of this Liverpool defense. You felt at points Konate was a little bit positionally sort of at all sorts. Obviously, he's come back from an injury. He's wearing the strap on his leg in the game. He never felt comfortable for me. I'm not sure about, obviously, Gomez can't quite play. I think he's picked up a knock. Quansah, not quite trusted by Arne Slot as well. Obviously, you bring Konate back as soon as you can. He looks a touch off of it today because Van Dijk felt like it was, at points, it felt like it was a Van Dijk defense by himself because Trent was completely, especially in the second half, we'll break down those goals, but it felt like Trent was a little bit positionally void today. Again, you don't want to tie in these kind of rumours of Real Madrid and stuff like that, but was his head switched on? There was a couple of moments in the second half, dodgy clearances, losing the ball, and then defensively, it just felt like anything Man United wanted to do, it all came from the left-hand side of Man United's attack today. And that will be an issue that Liverpool have to look at in Champions League games, in the League Cup final if they get there, in bigger games than Man United at home, who are currently 14th. With all due respect, it's a big game. But if Liverpool want to win multiple trophies this season, they have to address the right-hand side of their back line. Real Madrid exposed it with Vinicius a couple of seasons ago in the Champions League final. Will they get there? You certainly feel they're closer with the protection of the midfield, with McAllister, his legs, his energy. You feel the protection of someone like Konate at full form, but he is coming back. Van Dijk was absolutely exceptional today. It could have been a 3-2, 4-2 win to Manchester United if it wasn't for Van Dijk, who actually stops Dalot in the second half. And we'll go into the second half now, but he stops Dalot on his left foot with an unbelievable... It's a world-class block from Van Dijk. Stops Dalot scoring. But a few minutes later, Manchester United open the scoring. It's a poor clearance from Trent. Trent boots it into the Man United midfield. Bruno Fernandes gets the ball and then plays this little inverted ball into Lisandro Martinez. That ball was... Honestly, he knew that ball was on for so long. If you rewatch the goal, Bruno Fernandes is running inwards in the pitch towards the goal. and there's so much space. No one's tracking the runner of Martinez, who's obviously ghosted in behind. A little inverse ball takes the entire back line out, and Martinez gets a free shot on goal. It's an unbelievable strike. You can see how much it meant to Manchester United fans who are able to celebrate that right in front of them. Martinez, it's a great strike, whether he's a centre-back or Højlund. I mean, Højlund should be doing stuff like that, not Martinez. It's a great finish. Nothing the keeper could do or should be doing about that, in my opinion. It's a great, great strike. And at that point, Manchester United really were a better side and probably deserved, from that position onwards, to be maybe going on and trying to think they can win the game. Now, obviously, it's easier said than done because Liverpool got so much quality. A few minutes later, we're talking 7 or 8 minutes later, the ball from McAllister down the right-hand side of Manchester United's back line into Cody Gakpo. He does what he's been doing quite a lot now, little chops in and out. De Ligt makes it very, very easy for him and commits far too early to try and block the shot from Gakpo on his left foot, which is never coming. I mean, you have to do some research. I mean, these guys have got unbelievable amount of data scientists around them and match analysis of every single game. You know, Gakpo is barely never using his left foot. He's always going to cut in. So overcommitting there is a little bit of an oversight from De Ligt. As defensively speaking, it's poor. Let's be completely real. It's a great finish from Gakpo. And then Liverpool get the opportunity to make it 2-1 very, very quick. It's an obvious penalty from De Ligt. He has an absolute howler in the second half. The ball gets whipped in and his arms are in an unnatural position. It's well taken from Salah, who is completely inevitable at this point. Feels like every single week he's getting goal after goal. I thought Liverpool were going to cruise 4-1, 5-1. And this is where really you feel that, again, if Liverpool are going to try and see out a Champions League final, let's say, or semi-final, an FA Cup final, if they're trying to go for multiple honours, the Premier League might be a little bit of an issue for anyone trying to debate if Liverpool cannot win the Premier League, because Arsenal looks soft, Man City, 1,000,000 points off of it, mathematically speaking, Chelsea, Forest. But these are just debates if we're going to talk about Liverpool in terms of being a great side, trying to win multiple honours in one season. Can they win a double? Can they win the Champions League? They're favourites to win the Champions League in many bookmakers' kind of websites. They can't do it with this defensive frailty on the right-hand side of their defence. They'll have time to fix it, of course. But it felt like Man United were always in the game. The way they were swinging balls in, missing big chances, all the way up to the final whistle. The ball gets played across from Dalot into the box for Diallo. It's an unbelievable finish. The defending for it is so poor. I think it's Konate goes out to try and block the cross. I think Conor Bradley, at that point, or Trent is replacing him. He's 1,000,000 miles off of it. No one's picking up Diallo. No one's running with him. I don't know whether it's Gravenberch has to be running with him. One of the midfielders has to be running with him. I'm not entirely sure if you rewatch it whose responsibility it is. But Diallo floats into this kind of half space. It's a little bit like the Man City goal. I mean, I know it's a different kind of angle and a different kind of finish entirely. But Dalot is very good at running into that space and ghosting in and being a good finisher in the box. And it's a great finish from Amad Diallo. Some standout players today in the game. I mean, let's just start off with Liverpool. I think Van Dijk is the best centre-back in world football by a country mile. If it wasn't for Virgil van Dijk in this game, you feel that maybe Man United could have won by 2 or 3 extra, seriously, if they take the chances, particularly Rasmus Højlund. But ultimately, because of his performance, he nullifies all the threat, and Man United were playing out of their skin for the first time in many, many weeks. Biggest game in the country. Man United versus Liverpool, and it will always be a draw now. It won't be a heavy loss, anything dramatic, and that's what a defender's job is to do sometimes. Sometimes we look at statistics, how many clean sheets has this keeper got, how many clean sheets has this centre-back got, but sometimes if your side is a little bit lopsided, if your side is still dealing with certain things, and you can get a defensive performance out of someone like Van Dijk to bring a loss back to a draw, that is unbelievable. You build title defenses with that kind of defensive prowess from Virgil van Dijk. It's absolutely outrageous. The midfield today, I liked it a lot. McAllister was so dangerous, so lively. Gravenberch as well. I still think at points, this Man United side, if you just keep the ball a little bit better than Liverpool did, which they're more than capable of doing, you nullify the threat a little bit, don't you? And keep in possession. If you look at the statistics, Man United had nearly as much of the ball as Liverpool today, and that would be a little bit of a frustration for Liverpool, no question about it. And then you look at Gakpo, I think always offering a threat off the left. I think Diaz still can do a job off the left. I'm not entirely sure about Diaz in these big games as a number 9. Didn't have a bad game, but I feel like you're losing a little bit of him when he's playing down the middle. You're losing a little bit of his ability to get the ball a bit deeper. Obviously, when you play a number 9, you have to stretch the back line. You have to be looking for the ball. You can't always come short for the ball. And Diaz, for me, obviously, Arne Slot's doing what maybe Klopp did with Mane, playing him down the middle at points. I don't know if it's necessarily going to work long term, but you have to let me know in the comments down below. Standout performances: Diallo again, Mazraoui, Yagara's fantastic, and obviously the big one is Bruno Fernandes. He was running the game, had a couple of shots himself. Maybe he should do better with one that comes from a short corner. Ultimately, it's a shame that like Man United, they put in a performance maybe of the season for themselves, and it doesn't lift them anywhere near out of the relegation zone. Are they going to be able to kick on against sides in and around them? They're not in the relegation zone, but they're nearly close to it. I mean, it's scary. They're 6-7 points off Ipswich, who should be out of the relegation zone if they could have hold on to Fulham, to a lead against Fulham. So ultimately, Liverpool have gained from this point more than Manchester United by a country mile. Liverpool going to go on now because of Arsenal. The Arsenal lads had to beat Brighton if they were going to maintain a Premier League title race, a push. I can't speak about Man City, can't speak about Chelsea, nowhere near. It's a great point for Liverpool. They can kick on. They're not going to get many harder games than that. Even though Man United are so low in the table, it's one of the hardest games of the season, regardless of Man United's form. It's the biggest game in the country. And you feel that Liverpool have come away from a lucky kind of draw. Xerxes, the ball back. If you look at the Xerxes ball to Harry Maguire, 97th minute, he bobbles it into the fucking ground. He bobbles it into the ground. And you just think, you have to do better than that. Like, I don't want to slag someone off who got substituted and was a little bit sort of crying when he came off at Old Trafford. I don't want to slag anyone off necessarily. But the ball to Harry Maguire has to be so much better. It really does. Let me know what you think in comments down below. Where did Liverpool kick on from here? Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. Man United, good point for them. But it could have been a win. I'll see you very, very soon.